Hello, everyone, and welcome to my lecture on understanding your food, making better food choices to live a healthier life. I'd like to start by giving you a little bit of my background. I graduated with my Bachelor of Arts in Biology with a minor in chemistry in 2010 from New Mexico State University. I am currently in the Masters of Applied Nutrition program at University of New England. I am expected to graduate here at the end of 2019. I hold a few professional certifications. I have a certified personal trainer certification from the Academy of Sports Medicine. I am a NESTA certified fitness nutrition coach, and I am also a DocFit certified supplementation expert. I'm part of a few professional associations at this point in time. The first one is the Central Texas Eating Disorder Specialists through a student membership here in Austin, Texas, as well as Dietitian HQ for Entrepreneurs. I have some professional and work experience in the health and nutrition field. I am currently a nutritionist and health and fitness coach at Karen's Therapy and Nutrition, where my wife and I focus not only on food and exercise, but the psychology behind good practices that lend themselves to lifelong behavior change for the better, for healthier behavior change. I own Mind Your Body Consulting and Nutrition and Training, where I am currently working with small, medium, and large fitness chains and studios, boutiques, on increasing the productivity and education level for their personal training programs and for their nutrition programs, depending on the states that they can offer that in. I was the assistant executive director for Platinum Fitness, so I have seen the business side of the exercise and health fields, as well as a general manager, fitness director, and personal trainer for Emerald City Athletics in the Seattle area. The last thing is I was the owner of a computer business that was called Complete Computer Services. And I bring this in because I feel that technology is such a vital part of our education and how we access information these days, that it's something that we really need to embrace and bring in on a very fundamental level when we're talking about our health and our health choices, specifically with nutrition and the choices that we make and the things that are out there to help us make those decisions. So I'd like to move on to addressing the health concerns that are affecting our communities, especially specifically here in the greater Austin area. Chronic health disease is a major issue, and it's getting worse. Okay, there is a need to increase nutrition education for everybody to make better nutrition decisions. Okay, our overweight and obesity conditions that we see that are so prevalent these days contribute to type 2 diabetes, increased rates of cancer, heart disease, and a host of other things that people find on an individual basis as they live with these chronic issues. Unhealthy food choices can be specific to all cultures, ethnic groups, and where people live, but they all contribute towards these chronic diseases and long-term illnesses that we're seeing rising right now. The learning objectives of this seminar are going to be to get a clear picture of what proteins, carbohydrates, and fats are, what these proteins, carbohydrates, and fats, what they look like in good food sources, where these good proteins, carbs, and fats come from, to see what good nutrition does for the body and how the body uses nutrition for staying healthy through these three different things. We want to be able to identify good whole food sources that have lots of nutrients, so vitamins and minerals, things like that. And also be able to identify the bad nutrient deficient or foods that are low in those nutrients and are higher in calories, or basically are unhealthy foods. Okay, and really we want to see the value of quality foods and how they help us stay healthy, regardless of the food choices that you make. Really just making those good choices to stay healthy long term is really what we're looking at. So after the slide presentation, we will stick around for a discussion so I can answer any questions you may have. We will do a bingo game as well as a grocery store shopping game, and I have prizes for the winners of those games. So I hope you stick around. So the population and income levels for Austin, Texas are pretty average. Okay, we've got the Austin area has approximately a 50% minority population base, which is 35% Hispanic, 8% Black, 7% Asian, and then 1% identifies as mixed or other. Okay, so we've got a really diverse group here in Central Texas. When we look at health issues specific to the Hispanic or Latin American communities, we see that they have higher rates of overweight and obesity. We see that there's a higher cardiovascular disease rate, and there's a higher risk of type 2 diabetes in this population when compared to Americans of European descent. When we look at the Asian population, we don't see as high of an overweight or obese population, but they still have really high rates of heart disease, diabetes, and blood pressure. And then lastly, when we look at the health issues specific to African American population, we see that they are at high risk for high blood pressure, cardiovascular disease, diabetes, stroke, and then, of course, overweight and obesity issues from an early age on. So, what does medicine, science, and research really tell us? It tells us that when we increase our nutrition education, we can reduce the chance of getting type 2 diabetes, heart disease, cancer, or a host of other chronic diseases that typically come along with living long-term being overweight or obese. Okay, we see increases in healthier food habits when we increase our nutrition education, and we also see that it helps keep children from developing these potential health problems because they see the adults around them eating healthier, and they mimic that behavior, and it just becomes what they do. They learn what healthy food looks like, what healthy portions look like, and so all of that gets passed down from parents and family and the surrounding adults into the kids that we're around every day. All right, so before we get into the specifics on proteins, carbs, and fats, I want to make sure that it's clear that we can eat very healthy on a budget. Okay, there's a big misconception that to eat healthier costs more. That's not nearly the case. Okay, there's research and evidence that shows that we can eat at a low cost. The USDA offers many different food plan options on their website. One that I'm really fond of is the Thrifty Food Plan. It gives us our shopping lists and a bunch of different grocery food items that we can pick from that are in a low cost range. And it shows us that it's possible to feed a family of 4 at with a very healthy diet for around $950 per month. Now, this may seem like a lot, but there are a lot of assistance programs that are also available to us, and I encourage everybody to go out and see what they may qualify for. One I wanted to highlight is the SNAP program. It's something that's available in pretty much every state, especially here in Texas. I've applied or given you guys the URL that you can get also after with a copy of these slides. So go and check it out and see what you may qualify for. But when we look at this, if you look at family size of 4, now knowing that we can eat very healthy at $590 a month, you get about $642 a month when you get the SNAP program. Okay, so if you qualify for it, not only is it going to cover all of your food bills to make sure that you can eat healthy, it's going to give you a little bit of wiggle room. Okay, so really encourage again everybody to go out and look and see if you qualify for any of these assistance programs. They're very, very valuable. So again, education can be the key, right? The big health concern with adult nutrition and adult health issues is there's an increased or higher calorie intake than we should have, okay? And we have lower nutrition education. And these things go together. If we don't understand what we're putting in our body, how can we possibly pick the healthy foods that we need to eat so we can live a long and healthy life? Okay, so understanding nutrition information and nutrition levels on those labels can be very difficult for most adults. And so really what we need to have is more understandable nutrition information on our food labels that is made For specific cultures, a lot of us eat a lot of different foods, especially based on the culture, our ethnic background, or the region that we live in. And it's needed for all communities. Okay, so that's something that the nutrition community needs to get better at. But what I'm going to try to do is arm you with some knowledge to help you read what's out there today. So this is just an organization chart of how our macronutrients, or our proteins, carbohydrates, and fats, break down and what they provide for our bodies. Okay, we can see that carbohydrates, proteins, and fats all provide energy for us. Okay, so all of them our body can use to make sure that we stay alive and keep moving on a daily basis. But what we don't see, especially with carbohydrates, is that it provides anything other than energy. Okay, so carbohydrates give us energy to run on a daily basis, but they don't really help out with any structural support or help us regulate any of our body processes. And when I say that, I mean things like helping us repair from injury, or cell growth, or helping us maintain healthy hormone levels. Okay, so our proteins and our fats do that. Okay, they help give our body support, our cells support, our muscles, our bones. They help us with hormone regulation and a host of other things. And so proteins and fats are essential on a lot more intricate level than carbohydrates are. Carbohydrates are still very important to make sure that we have the energy that we need, and we'll get into those specifics later on. The one thing with water is water doesn't give us any energy, but it does help with everything else our body does. Okay, so water also is very, very important. So let's start with proteins. Proteins are found in every cell in the body. Okay, they're involved in most of the body's functions and life processes. So whether you're awake or asleep, your body is using a lot of protein in one way or another to help keep you healthy, to help keep you moving, and to help your body just do the day-to-day things that it needs to do. Okay, so things like hormones and enzymes that we need to run efficiently, they're all made up of proteins. Okay, proteins provide the building blocks for all of our tissues. So it's literally the bricks and mortar of our house, which is our body. Okay, protein can be used as an energy source, but our body doesn't really want it to. What it wants to do is it wants to make sure that it gets protein gets used for muscle, and used for keeping healthy bones and healthy skin, making our hormones and nervous system work the way that they're supposed to, helping keep our immune system strong. So protein has a lot of functions in our body, but it's not the go-to when it comes to just keeping your body going on energy. Okay, we need protein. Proteins come from a lot of good sources, like our meats, dairy, things like legumes and soys, nuts and seeds. There are some of the building blocks of proteins, or amino acids, and things like whole grains, vegetables, and some fruits, but those are not good sources of proteins. Okay. All right. Next thing is carbohydrates. This is a complex food source for us, an energy source for us, and there's a lot of different things that we get energy from that is considered a carbohydrate, and we're going to go through all of that here. So carbohydrates are sugars. All carbohydrates eventually break down into sugars. Okay, it helps keep our body going and provides energy for red blood cells. Our brain uses up to 20% of the calories we burn throughout the day just to keep us thinking and functioning. So we need carbohydrates and the glucose that we get from those carbohydrates to stay smart and to keep running all day long, right? And our muscles use a ton of carbohydrates. That is the primary energy source for our muscles. So especially when we're active, we need to make sure that we're getting good quality sources of carbohydrates. Okay, what we don't want to do is we don't want to get too much, but carbohydrates are found in most foods. So our breads, cereals, legumes, nuts, fruits, vegetables, and some dairy products. Okay, but animal products outside of dairy, so cottage cheese, milk, those types of things, butter, they don't have a lot of carbohydrates. Okay, our eggs, meats, poultry, fish, really don't have any significant amount of carbohydrates. So if we eat things like a paleo diet or something that eliminates a lot of our carbohydrates, we're not getting those from our meat sources, especially. Carbohydrates provide energy for your brain, like I said before. They help us maintain blood sugar levels. So whenever we have issues with diabetes, that means that we have issues with our blood sugars. And so depending on the type of sugars we eat, we can help regulate our blood sugar levels. We'll get into that in a little bit. But it helps us prevent energy dips throughout the day whenever we get a good steady source of complex carbohydrates. Helps us maintain our muscle, since muscle is not the primary go-to for our body when it comes to energy. We want to keep that muscle on our body because muscle keeps our metabolism high. The muscles burn more calories than anything else in our body again, and so if we can maintain a good healthy level of muscle, we can maintain a good healthy metabolism. Carbohydrates break down into basically four important sugars for our purposes today. Glucose, that's what our brain, our muscles, and our red blood cells run on. Okay, glucose is the fundamental level that our body breaks down all carbohydrates into. We've all heard of fructose. This is the one that gives us that natural sweetness in our fruits. We've got sucrose, okay, which is our table sugar. All right, that's a combination of glucose and fructose. And then we have lactose, which is the natural sugars that are found in milks. And some people, or dairy products, and some people are naturally sensitive or intolerant to lactose. And so that is an intolerance to that specific type of sugar, okay? Next thing we need to look at with carbohydrates is fiber. Fiber is a topic that often gets overlooked when we talk about our carbohydrates, but it's essential to helping our body run healthy. Okay, so fiber, most of them are forms of fiber are undigestible by our stomach and our intestines. Okay, they really don't provide any energy for us directly, but they are good for the bacteria in our gut. Okay, and so it helps keep us healthy that way. Most plants contain what we call soluble and insoluble fiber. Really, what we want to look at is not getting so much more insoluble or more soluble fiber in our diet, but our total overall intake of fiber just needs to stay high, okay? And I usually recommend between 30 to 50 grams of fiber per day per person. All right, you guys will see terms on labeling like functional fiber. This is fiber that is added to foods that might not have had very much naturally. This is a good thing, okay? Added fiber is a good thing. So if you see it on there, on any of your labels, that's okay. It's a good thing to eat. The last thing we want to look at here is our fats. All right, so the basic functions in the body are really to store and provide energy. Okay, this is what our body does. This is what causes the obesity and the overweight issues that we have. Is our body has gotten into a mode of storing too much fat. Okay, fat does a lot of good things for us. Okay, it provides insulation. All right, so obviously some of us have more than others, but fat helps keep us warm when it's cold out. Fat also helps our body keep our temperature down when it's really hot out. Okay, it's kind of like fur on a dog. It helps us regulate both directions. All right, fat helps us manufacture hormones and essential digestive fluids. People a lot of times don't realize that when we get healthy fats in our diet, it does more than either just add on to our fat cells or run through our body. Okay, fats are essential for the day-to-day functions of our body that we don't ever see or we don't even think about. Okay, fats play a big role in transporting vitamins and nutrients in the blood. Not every vitamin can be broken down in water, kind of like things like vitamin C or those things you can put in a glass and you watch them dissolve. Some of them have to actually have fat to get into the body. And so eating good dietary fat also means that our vitamins and minerals that we find in our foods get absorbed at a higher rate, thus helping keep us healthier on a day-to-day basis. All right. Fats are key to our major sex hormones, so we always hear about testosterone and estrogen. We need fat to make these. Okay, if we don't have enough dietary fat, we are going to go ahead and run low on these and cause a whole host of other issues. So, fat's not the devil, right? We just need to watch how much we get in our diet. Okay. Lastly, it's key to the structure of our cells. All of the cells in our body are made up of fat. Okay, so if we don't have enough dietary fat, good fat, monounsaturated fat that we're going to talk about here in a minute, we can really inhibit our body's ability to repair itself, which means we're not nearly as healthy as we should be, right? So again, fat in the body helps to insulate. It helps us maintain our healthy body temperature. It protects our bones and our vital organs from injury, okay, making sure that when we jiggle and jostle around, we're not doing damage to all those great things on the inside of us, helping keep us healthy. And again, too much stored fat can be detrimental to health, right? So we don't want to have too much, but we do want to have a healthy amount. And that's different for everybody. So our healthy fats are our unsaturated fats, right? We find them in our vegetable oils, such as soybean or corn oils or olive oils, canola oils, things like that. We've got soybeans have great unsaturated fats, walnuts, flax seeds, things like wheat germ, and then of course fish, right? Now one of the big things we understand about fish is they're really a good source of omega-3 fatty acids, okay? Now omega-3 fatty acids do a lot of different things in our body, but we can also take supplements to get those if you're somebody who can't eat fish or is allergic to fish, right? A little side note here is we want to make sure that if you're looking at any fish supplements, you're not taking cod liver oil. It is out there. You'll find it on the shelves in places like Walmart, Costco, your supplement shops. It's very high in vitamin A, okay? So we don't want to take it because high levels of vitamin A can be really bad for us. We want to just stick to a regular omega-3 supplement or a fish oil supplement, okay? Now, our saturated fats. These are the ones that can get us in a little bit of trouble when it comes to our body storing too much fat and when it comes to our heart and our circulatory system. Okay, so saturated fats can be bad in high quantities. We want to keep it to about 10% of our daily fat intake, so really low on our saturated fats. This means that when it comes to things like animal products such as fatty cuts of meat, whole milk and dairy products, skin on things like chicken and turkey, we want to go ahead and limit those guys, okay? We want to have leaner cuts of meat, things like sirloin or 90-10 ground beef, or ground turkey, ground chicken, chicken breasts, things like that. We want to make sure that that they don't have a high fat content. So really pay attention to your labels on those guys, okay? They will label saturated fats independently. So make sure that the saturated fat reads really, really low or zero on any of the packaged goods that you may buy or even the packaging from the butcher, okay? We want to make sure that we try and eat lower fat versions of pretty much all of our fat containing foods. So low fat milk, low fat cottage cheese, again, leaner cuts of meat. If you have any questions, ask your local butcher. They'll direct you to their leanest meats and the good quality ones that you can go ahead and get, okay? Again, we want to make sure that we read our nutrition facts panels to help us choose foods that are low in fat, okay? With all of these guys, our proteins, our carbohydrates, and fats, none of them are bad for us. Our body needs all of them. What gets us in trouble is eating things that are too high in calories, right? Too high in our simple sugars, so we need to watch our labels for that. Too high in our saturated fats, so we need to look at our meat sources and our dairy sources to make sure those aren't too high, right? And really make sure that our lean protein sources are coming from things that are poultry, fish, primarily those, and then when you do get beef, that you make sure that you keep them to those healthier cuts, okay? I really want to thank you for your time. I want everybody to stay for our open discussion so I can answer any questions that you may have. We're going to have our games and prizes afterwards, and a lot of educational material that goes along with that. And then again, at any point in time, you can contact me at my email, which is scairns@une.edu, for any follow-up or to set up any one-on-one to discuss this further. Thank you.